Welcome to the Police Fire and Rescue Committee meeting, 6th of December. It's a wee bit after 10:30, but we'll just press on. I have to remind everybody present that this meeting will be recorded and the recording will be subsequently available for public listening. Thank you. So can we have a note of the apologies?
Chairman, apologies from Councillors Blake, Davidson, Yen, McCutcheon and Cock. Councillors Nicholl and Ogilvie, not received apologies from them. That was not going to be meeting. Just 4 members.
I believe Councillor Nicholl has been ill. He was taken ill last weekend.
Thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest? Okay. Okay, item 3, Bonfire Night Period 2012 Performance Report by Head of Service Delivery. We're being asked to note various aspects of the report. So, would you like to add anything?
Members will note that this is a paper that we bring every year after Bonfire Night, just to indicate to them how well or how badly things have gone. I'm pleased to report that after a number of years of good multi-agency working, the effectiveness of the approach that we've actually adopted is now bearing fruit. We have a steady decline in the number of incidents that we're attending, and this year is no exception. On top of that, I would also like to make particular reference to the fact that we had no attacks on firefighters, either verbally or physically, which again is to be commended, and I trust this will continue in the future. I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Syme.
I'll certainly do that. I'm not aware of any particular issues up that end. So we certainly weren't called out to anything. So, but I'll check up with the council again, because I'm surprised that they were actually allowed to go ahead.
Any other questions? Just a wee note on the multi-agency approach in 2.3. How do you see that opinion post first?
I don't see any change. I don't see that as being a particular issue for us. It's the level at which it currently operates is a level which will continue to exist.
Thank you for the reassurance. So if we're happy, we can go to recommendations, and 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3 to note and recognise the positive effects of the continuing multi-agency approach. Happy to do that? Thank you. Item 4 is the Health and Safety Action Plan 2012-13 Progress Report. I'll pass you over again.
Yeah, members will recall that at a previous meeting we were actually asked to come back with a 6-monthly report on the progress against our Health and Safety Action Plan. The 2012-13 Action Plan was incorporated into the Health and Safety Report for 2011-12 and has been previously scrutinised and accepted by this committee. I'm pleased to say that there were 32 key actions within the action plan, and that we have already completed 26 of those. There are 3 actions that are still in progress But those are because they have been allocated to the final quarter of this year. So we're actually still in the process of delivering on those. But I'm confident that we will meet all our targets within the timescales that have been set. There is a bit of detail there, but I'm quite happy to answer any queries or questions that you have within the context of the plan itself.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If you don't mind, just a quick question on the stress survey that was completed for all staff. Is that yet to be analysed, or is it results?
The stress survey was taken to the previous SMT, which happened, I think, 10 days ago. We have now got some of the kind of initial detail which has directed us towards setting up a subgroup in order to further analyse and determine how we take it forward. I'm sure you'll all understand at a time of transition and moving into the new service that this is a particularly stressful time for all of our staff. I think it was prudent for us to do this. And what we want to make sure is that we are able to provide people with the appropriate mechanism to deal with that. And we will, over the next 2 or 3 months, put in a suite of measures to address any concerns of that.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, I would then happy to go with the recommendation now that we've scrutinised the content. Thank you. Item 5 is Dumfries and Galloway Fire and Rescue Service Change Management Framework 2012-13 and the progress report.
Again, members will recall that we changed from a service improvement plan to a change management framework, which allowed us to transition across to the new single service. It wasn't all as encompassing as it has done in the past, and we were very keen to keep it to a limited number of objectives, those that would best progress us as a service moving into the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. We have one of those already complete, which is the Sederunt Combined Aerial Appliance, which is operating particularly well and has responded on a number of occasions to incidents. We are also well ahead with the Carbonaceous Fire Training Unit. In fact, I believe that the final work on that was completed this week. I'll make sure that members get the chance to get a look at that early in the new year. Other than that, everything else is on track, and we will have those completed before the 31st of March. But I'm happy to take any further questions or if anybody requires more detail.
Any questions from the members? I'd just like to add, looking forward. So whenever. Just for the record, if we can, are we happy to go with the recommendation for item 5?
Chair, if I could just, maybe it's a sugly nail, but come in and hang it on it. It was nice to see Neville's picture in the local paper in Sederunt last night, grinning, handing Irvin Beck as a Dromore worthy his 20-year service medal. So one thing the fire brigade have done, in my opinion, the police have never done, is kept things going, opened them up. I remember well, Hamish was present. Mum was there when we opened the new fire facility at Dromore. It must have been 10, 12 years ago. And the Lord Lieutenant at the time commented that it was such a pleasure to go to something that was being opened in a rural community as opposed to closing everything, because that's what seems to happen in rural communities. And the fire brigade are to be congratulated for their commitment to the. I always feel a poor relation coming down to Dumfries. They've got everything that opens and shuts down here and through in the Wild West. we lack a lot of things that they have here. But that is not the case with the fire brigade. And it's down to people like Hamish Neville encouraging local boys from Dromore to be part-time firemen, come out and work. And I think that should be recorded and noted somehow if we can. I don't think you can put it in the minute here, but it would be remiss for it to pass without being mentioned.
Thank you for those thoughts, Councillor First. If we go on to item 6, the Dumfries and Galloway Fire and Rescue Service Quarterly Performance Report, July to September 2000.
Once again, members, this is the quarterly report that comes to you periodically. It provides you with an idea of our performance in the previous quarter and incidents of significant nature. It's, again, pretty self-explanatory, and I'd simply ask you to provide me with any questions or queries that you may have within it.
Do we have any comments from members? Councillor Syme.
Just in the recent weather, we've been having quite a few flooding incidents. Are they sort of noted in here anywhere, or could you tell us if you have been sort of over sort of stressed with the amount of flooding issues and your involvement in them?
Thanks, Councillor Syme. I'd actually got a wee bit written down here that I wanted to add after we'd discussed the paper. There isn't anything in this one because obviously it's for the previous quarter, and the incidents that we've had recently about the flooding, the widespread flooding, will be in the next fireworks that you get. However, I think it would be remiss of us not to recognise the commitment and the professionalism showed by staff of the Fire and Rescue Service across Dumfries and Galloway, but particularly around the Newton Stewart area and the Galloway area, where they had to effect quite a number of rescues of people using our water rescue teams. On top of that, again, it would be remiss of me not to comment on the multi-agency approach that we've built up since 2009, which, you know, the flood pod and all the equipment and everything that we've been provided with, which I believe has made a much better effective response to the communities, and we now get a much better press, if you like, from that. So we are better prepared. They didn't cause me any particular issues because we had the resources in the right place with the right people with the right training. Obviously, like everything else, it's what might happen or could have happened, but we managed, and more than happy with the way things went.
Any other comments on the
The NIT Inshore Rescue, I think they work in one of the partners as well.
Yeah, they're involved in a number of the areas. Just depends on exactly where it is. I know they were involved in another incident on the River Annan, which we were involved in as well. So it's really good to see us all working together, and it bodes well for the future.
I'd like to take this opportunity just to commend the actual clarity of the report. I find it very easy to read, and the information is very accessible. Hopefully the other members would share that impression, and if we've got any sort of suggestions for improvements in terms of making the information easy to read, then I'm sure those will be welcome.
I should point out that the authors of this report are both sitting across at the table here today, and they take on your comments in trying to improve this. And I know that they've already had discussions at the Pathfinder meeting to ensure that something similar is provided to you moving forward into the new Scottish Fire.
So if we're happy with that, if we go with the recommendation on item 6. Thank you. Item 7 is the Single Equality Scheme 2009 to 2012 Extension and Closure. Would you like to add anything to this?
Members, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to ask Sue Livermore, our Equality and Diversity Officer, to introduce this paper and answer any of your questions.
The situation we find ourselves in legislation is that I expect to be sitting here telling you that we had a new 3-year single quality scheme that would go from 2030 on. But the legislation has changed dramatically. On the 27th of May last year, the Scottish Government decided that rather than have a scheme which sat on its own, it would be much more effective to have outcomes and to work towards those outcomes and to prove that those outcomes mainstream through every part of the service, that everybody's working towards equality in one way or another. So single equality schemes as an entity are going to start disappearing from national profile. So we wanted to be ahead of the game with this, but at the same time we wanted to make sure Firethorn was covered for that gap period between the end of our single equality scheme at the end of December and the start of the brand new service, at which point new equality outcomes, which are already in advanced draft format, will come into play nationally, and we'll have local priorities that arise out of it. So the idea here was that rather than that, this extends what our original plan was so that if there were any legal challenges, if come to had no problem, we can say this still applies and that we still all like. So that was the thing behind it. And just to say we've had a very busy year before, actually tell you quickly what we've done. We had a refreshed training on the new legislation, so all our staff really understood it. Got our LGBT charter mark very, and we contributed community surveys that means everybody to put their outcomes together. Did that in all part, and hopefully that survey will give us some really good tailored bits of equality work. So that's a summary of what's.
Thank you. Any questions from members? Would it be possible, if I may, just to ask about mainstreaming? I noticed it talks about providing local information to contribute to a national mainstreaming report. I take it that's just ongoing? Or?
The mainstreaming report being put together. It's a difficult one. Going as a service, as we always have done, we produce a simple reports. Community fire safety, HR, progress. The fact that Scottish services makes it extra tricky. So we will apply the information that we would have presented anyway to a central point, and the mainstream report will actually be more as well about what reform and how that will all fit together. So it'll be an unusual but much simpler.
Any further questions? With that then, can we go to the recommendation for item 7? To approve the content of the single equality scheme, to approve the content of the new action plan, and also to note the progress made against the original action plan of the single equality. Okay. Item 8 is the Dumfries and Galloway Fire and Rescue Service Annual Awards Ceremony and Commemorative Celebration Event. Hamish, would you like to?
Members will already know that on an annual basis the service holds an awards ceremony where it recognises the achievements and high performance of members of staff. And we've done this now either informally or formally for quite a number of years, probably around 10 or 11. It has extended over the last 2 or 3 years, become much more of a formal event, and we recognise now community safety partners and the good work in terms of multi-agency approaches. In saying that, we are very conscious of the fact that on the 31st of March, the Dumfries and Galloway Fire and Rescue Service will cease to exist, and we feel it would be appropriate for us to try and celebrate that in some fashion, and felt that put the two together would be the most effective and efficient use of resources, and to, if you like, allow people to celebrate Dumfries and Galloway Fire. The purpose of the paper is to provide you with the information of what we intend to do. The detail of it is still yet to be completely worked out, but it's to make you aware that there is a small financial impact to the service in terms of £750, and this is purely as a result of that we intend to invite a wider group of people in order that we can share our celebration with them. I'm happy to take any questions.
Just like to say that I would like to fully support this event. I think it deserved recognition at the level of Fire and Rescue Service, and I welcome any other comments from Councillor Forster.
Is £750 enough?
It is, Councillor, because this, if you like, we would normally hold this event anyway, so the venue is already covered. You know, all the other ancillary or costs that go along with it. It's simply about being able to provide a cup of tea, some sandwiches to people that come to it. Yes, it is more than sufficient.
Any other comments or questions?
Just think it's a very worthy occasion, and I'm just wondering if they're getting Michael Aspel or that to come along for the This Is Your Life part.
No, I've got Jerry Campbell and Tommy Johnson, and if anybody knows them, you'll know I call them Tom and Jerry, so it should be quite fun.
Thank you. So are we happy to go with recommendation number 2? Thank you. Item 9 is disposal of service assets. Would you like to speak to this?
As in previous years, as we've replaced vehicles, another vehicle within the fleet becomes redundant. We have in the past, along with other redundant equipment, provided in a charitable way to support fire and rescue services who are less well off in other parts of the world. Obviously, things are slightly more complicated with us moving into a single service, and we had to make sure that the asset was not something that was required for the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service. Seek and that assurance, and we have been told that it is not required. So what I'm now asking is for members' approval to dispose of this vehicle in the way in which we have done in the past, and to support a fire and rescue service elsewhere.
Any questions from members?
Will this be going through Jake Anderson again?
With members' approval, yes, it will be.
Happy to support that.
Can I maybe ask, where do these vehicles likely end up? Followed the path then in their journey?
Yes, majority of it ends up in South America. It's around Uruguay, Chile, Paraguay, that sort of area. But there are other services that have gone to like Bosnia, Palestine as well. So there is a precedent for this, and we have supported this along with Fife, this particular charity, for a number of years. And it does make a great deal of difference. Not from this service.
So are we happy to go with the recommendation for item 9? Item 10 is the Scottish Accord for the sharing of personal information. We're going to be asked to note signing up to the Scottish Accord.
Yes, members, this is an accord that was developed in Wales and has been then adopted by the Scottish Government. And it's called the Scottish Accord on the Sharing of Personal Information, or SASPI for short. And basically, it's about improving the way in which partners work and in the use of personal details to identify vulnerable adults, people at risk, in order that we can best support them. And the signing of this was carried out 2 or 3 weeks ago between the Chief Constable, myself, the Chief Exec of the Health Service and the Chief Exec of the Council. And it's just to make you aware that we've entered into this, and I believe that we're one of the earliest in Scotland to actually adopt it. We are again at the cutting edge of improving community sharing of information. Happy to ask you to answer.
Is there particular training offered for this? I know in some organisations I've been involved with, they have a particular training for dealing with the regulations. Is that available to office staff, or do you do internal training for that? It is quite a wide-ranging thing.
It is, and it is a delicate subject. And what I'll do is I'll just pass you over on to Alison, who has more of the detail of that.
What actually sits underneath this accord is separate protocols. So depending on what you the personal information for, you have separate protocols. Within that protocol, it'll be specific on what role would have access to that information, how information would be that sort of well, training would be part of the underlying protocol. No, it should just all be done internally. The actual accord itself is very specific how it should be handled. With there's different levels of security and such like for that personal that sort of thing as well. So it should just all be done in-house. How
Any further questions? Well, in that case, if we go to the recommendation to note the signing up to the Scottish Accord to ensure compliance with statutory and legislative requirements, are we happy to do so? Thank you. Item 11 is the Police and Fire Reform Progress Update.
I'm not actually sure who's presenting these papers.
Apologies, that's Kyle Henschel, I believe.
Thank you, Chairman. What I advise is that in that long provided an update. But what I would add is confirm that level of risk continues to evolve. We now have had the first meeting of the Scottish Authority being adopted. Administration means now with a level of trust that we need. Have first formally which again will adopt considerable progress needs to be made, but the evidence around being able to support contact due to work occupational health got down fine level of needs to be done. On the risk, most of them are with very safety was on. I have to definitely out very difficult to put them.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Simon.
It's just a thing I'd like to ask at every meeting regarding this. We've got the Christmas trees up, and the next thing will be Easter eggs on sale in a couple of weeks' time, and then we've got the 1st of April after that, and it's getting quite close. I'd just like to ask Amy, how is staff morale? Because a lot of people are uncertain what's going to be happening with the reform. Are the staff getting in touch with what's happening, and what's the sort of feeling amongst them?
I think I would say that up until recently, staff had been particularly concerned about what management have done is we've created a number of forums whereby we've sat down with them and we've tried to address their concerns where we've been able to, and where we haven't, we've basically said, you know, we'll get back to them and we'll continue to inform them. On top of that, the information that's now coming out from the centre and the new Chief Fire Officer has improved dramatically, and every person in the service has got direct access to a video blog, if you like, that he creates. So whatever can be shared is being shared. The board now starting to meet formally will improve things again, because obviously we're hearing so many rumours and different aspects of what this new service might look like, but no one can actually definitively say that's what will happen until the board approves it. But some of the things that we are hearing, we now know that the hub commander, David Boyle, is going to be the person in charge of Dumfries and Galloway, and it will sit within the west with Strathclyde. We know that Dumfries and Galloway will sit on its own as a local delivery unit, and so forth. So you're starting to, you know, people are starting to see, well, things aren't going to change as much as perhaps they thought they might. But there are still concerns, you know, the matching process and the job allocation will always throw up concerns about whether people work in Dumfries and Galloway, whether they work in Perth or they work wherever. We're trying to manage those, and part of that was the stress survey and the subgroup that I've discussed previously. We will look at that and we'll try to support them in whatever shape or form. But it's improving, shall I say. I'm not saying it's great, it's not, but I think that could be said for any organisation that's going through this level of change and uncertainty.
Any other questions on the work streams? If you don't mind me asking, Carol, the commissioning document for community safety, is there anything we should, timescale we should look out for more information on that?
I think work on the basis on the risk register project, the form progress. We will assure that reporting will continue to this requirement to escalate
And 3.4.6, the voluntary early release of staff. Police Fire and Rescue Service have intimated any new voluntary early release schemes will only start in April. Is that our position?
That's
I can only speak from a fire perspective, and that the need to run an effective fire and rescue service moving in 1st of April is that it's my intention that I require every member of staff that I currently have, and therefore will not be meant anything like that. That does not mean to say that if someone was to secure another job elsewhere, that I wouldn't support them leaving. I've already had informal talks with the Chief Exec, and I know the Council would support me in interim period, the resource from the Council. I'm in a good position, if you like, that I don't have to implement it, and I do have a backup should resources become.
Finally, just on 3.5, the ongoing costs required for the authority to support the new governance arrangements. The latest information apparently is that we'll receive 300k on a recurring basis and an additional current, is that in perpetuity, or how long does that last?
Suggest perhaps you might want to look at the next report. Then it's dealt with.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, do we have? Oh, Councillor Groom.
Just on the CCTV, this will be moving from the analog to the digital. I think the work's been ongoing with that just now. Is that correct?
Around clock.
With that, are we happy then to go for the recommendations on item 11? Consider the current status and determine that the arrangements in place to address the risks identified continue to be adequate and proportionate. Thank you. Item 12, Police and Fire Reform, update on financial issues. Would you like to speak to it?
Thanks very much, Chair. This report provides an update on a range of financial issues associated with the reform process. I think the first thing to mention is that the report's written mainly from the Council's perspective. It's important to recognise that there's been a lot of joint working between Council officers, police and fire, which have perhaps made a lot of reflecting the report a bit easier to deal with here in the Police and Galloway than maybe elsewhere in Scotland. First thing that the report really looks at is the impact on the funding available to the Council. Obviously, with the disaggregation of police and fire, the monies currently supporting those services being removed from the Council grant settlement government. The amount that's been removed was confirmed in the government grant settlement last week, and it's in line with our previous expectations based on the fire current budgets. So that's a sensible, balanced approach, fair to both the Council and the fire service. In terms of the potential bottom line impact for the Council, the main issue is that the costs that are currently recharged or shared with police and fire are part of the budgets that have been removed from the grant system. Potential budget pressure for the Council as a result of that. However, as reflected in the previous report, the settlements confirmed that £350,000 will be received. It's been received in perpetuity on an ongoing basis to support the disaggregation costs, governance costs. The £350,000 we're getting, it's actually a bigger share of the national total than we would usually get. We usually get around 3%, 9% because of the working between the Council and the Galleries. I think that's a good deal and it'll go a long way to pressure the Council. In terms of another main issue, I think, police and fire reserves. There has been an agreement reached between the Scottish Government and COSLA reserves. For police, 49% of uncommitted reserves at the date of reform were retained by local authorities, being transferred to Scottish in line with grant funding present, and 100% of uncommitted fire reserves retained by the. What the report indicates is that in terms of how we look at how monies might be utilised, and obviously we don't know what this in terms of how those monies might be utilised. I think the first thing is transitional costs associated with it. Secondly, I think any residual amount should be considered in terms of measures of the current high standards of police and fire and community safety. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Forster.
Maybe it's an obvious one or a simple one, but Paul, you said agreement was reached with COSLA. What happens if the Police and Galloway Council want to install COSLA? Did they only negotiate with COSLA, in other words, or did they come to the Police and Galloway Council as well?
They negotiate with COSLA, who are acting on behalf of all local authorities.
Even
we-
non-members, or it's every member at
at the
present?
moment, there aren't any non-members.
Shame.
Any other questions? If you don't mind, wouldn't mind asking, you've mentioned about the 49% of the reserves. And is it, would you have a sort of picture of how much the total for Scotland would be and how much would be local? Ballpark.
I think in terms of uncommitted reserves, that figure that's been quoted, and this will be subject to potentially substantial changes, around £30 million nationally. I know there's been a number of issues in other areas whereby reserves have perhaps been drawn down in the current financial year. Police and fire budgets have been reduced this year and have been propped up to use reserves. That's not something that's done in Galloway. The police reserves at the end of the last financial year was just over £600 in the police of Galloway. So obviously 49%, that would be around 300,000. Obviously we're looking at drawdowns from those reserves and potential additions to those reserves in the current financial year. Come back with more details on that at the end of 2017.
Would you have a rough figure for fire as well?
The fire reserves come into the current financial year of £480,000. My understanding at the minute, I think both police and fire have managed their budgets very effectively in the current financial year, as they have done in previous years as well. I wouldn't expect to see significant reductions at that level, but that's something we're working closely with our colleagues in both services.
And just another wee question on the possible underspend. So if there's an underspend at the end of this financial year, what happens to that? Is there an understanding of how that works nationally?
Exact same principle, that the uncommitted reserves at the end of the year, including any underspent amounts from the current year's budget, split 100% retained by the council. In terms of fire, 49%.
So does that mean we've effectively banked that?
Yes, we would receive that, and as I've reflected in the report, I think in terms of the council's consideration of how it might be applied, I think first of all we've got to look at potential transitional costs associated with the reform process, and also potential budget pressure in terms of some of the costs that are currently shared between the council and fire. But in terms of any residual amount over and above that, we've got applying that to continuation of effective working in terms of fire.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Councillor First.
Can I ask Paul a question? It's purely from accountancy. I'm not having a pop at the fire brigade or the police. Have we not been too prudent leaving that amount of money? Well, my understanding is we're getting 50% of 600,000. I would rather 50% of nothing and the money had been used.
I think there's a couple of things. The Scottish Government obviously provided that 51% to a specific grant. I think it's been key that the police and fire services have managed their budgets very well over recent years and have made sure that they have a working balance. I mean, the working balance in terms of percentage of their budgets is a relatively small amount, and particularly in policing to a similar extent, fire, there may be instances between now and the end of the financial year which require the use of those reserves. I think it's important for all services that there is an appropriate balance at an appropriate level retained until the end of the
Could I come back? Should we not be using those balances and depleting them?
We have, both police and fire services have made some investments, both last year and in the current financial year, particularly in capital programmes. But I say that's been done in a balanced manner. We've not basically used up all the reserves available. They have been making some investments to make sure that police and Galloway is in the best position possible going into the reform process. I know that police have made some improvements in terms of their emergency, major incident room, and police stations, fire, I think, in terms of training facilities and other areas as well.
But would you like to come in on this, Hamish?
I think it's important to realise reserves, particularly in a fire context, why we would need to keep a substantial amount. We are a predominantly retained service. Therefore, salary costs fluctuate dependent upon the amount of operational activity that we carry out. So if we get a particularly dry period, as we did last year, if you recall, moving into the spring, then I could have a massive wage bill that is outwith of what my current budget could stand, and therefore I need to have the fallback of having some money sitting in reserves. It's always prudent to have that. As Paul has indicated, we have looked at, I've got to say, we as a fire authority have actually looked at the reserves and looked at what we needed in terms of the infrastructure to support the fire and rescue service locally. And we have made considerable investments and taken money from reserves with your approval to support the training centre out there. So we have done a bit of that. I'd also encourage you to support what the paper is saying about maintaining the community safety aspects after day one, in that some of the funding that may be left could be used to support some of the activities in terms of community safety, fire safety, whatever, if you like, and therefore you would not have any reduction in the ability to deliver on some of the programs that we're currently doing right now. I haven't got a crystal ball to know what's going to happen in the future. I'm only saying it might be prudent that some of that money would.
Chair, I hear what Hamish is saying, and I agree. I mean, your wage bill will fluctuate more than the police will. So you've got, the police aren't here, so we won't discuss that. But to use some of this balance or reserve to keep ongoing community schemes, surely this all-new brave fire force, Scotland, single body, will be providing money to do that anyway. Or I would hope they would. Or we're going to stop all community involvement once the brave new tomorrow starts.
I would hope your assumption is, I hope your assumption is correct. And I certainly know that locally we are working on that premise, and the local fire plan, which the draft one will go to Pathfinder this afternoon, will set that aspiration. But obviously there is a balance between an agreement between the local authority, committee, whatever that looks like, and the new Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, what can be delivered in Dumfries and Galloway. And that would have to be consulted upon and negotiated. So I don't know the level of detail at the moment, and it's only about, I would not wish anything to have to be stopped because of lack of funding from a central pot when there is the ability perhaps to be subsidised at a local level.
Thank you. We could just ask another question on the shared costs. 5.5, to do with the repairs and maintenance, but the details have yet to be provided. Do you know if we're any further forward with this, or is there any progress?
Neville, can you give us an update, please?
Just to say that currently we had to meet with the projects group, council themselves had a discussion with representatives from the reform group, and the concerns of the council and the concerns of the fire and rescue service put forward to that lead take back to the board of the new service to decide on what they can provide in the future as a new service, what has to be provided by the, or what would like to be provided by the local authority. And without that clarity, we were kind of scuppered a little bit to move forward on some of the projects. We've put some sort of agreement, basis of agreements together, which still need to be discussed with the council. Once we get that approval, we'll go forward and say, yes, we do want the property maintenance carried on by the council, or there may be elements of the fleet maintenance that maybe wanted to be carried on, and same with the communications from the radio maintenance unit, some of the agreements that we currently have for airwave to be carried on. Now, without that approval from the board, we are kind of stuck to be able to say, well, we definitely want this, or we can actually sign up to some kind of agreement, or rather, the new board will have to sign up to the agreement with the local council of what they provide in the future. So that's where we are. My intention is to speak to Sarah O'Donnell, who is the new, get this right, business director of business for the Fire and Rescue Service, and it's in her remit, all these different areas. So I really need to go forward with that with the new board, and hopefully, once I talk to Sarah and Ian Morris that joined the committee last week, we will have that direction, and that should come from the first board meeting.
Thank you very much. Just another question on the 8.2, the winding up. Are you going to do a trial run?
We've already done a trial run in terms of disaggregation of the council's balance sheet. This is probably one of the areas where it's more complex in Dumfries and Galloway than elsewhere, because other areas they have separate fire boards, so things like the preparation of the accounts, police and fire are already separate. In Dumfries and Galloway we have a council set of accounts, council financial management arrangements, so we have had to do a bit of work on disaggregating that, support the reform process. We disaggregated the 2011-12 balance sheet as a dry run to support this exercise, and we're continuing to do that for the new financial year. There's probably greater issues or concerns regarding arrangements for payment of creditors, settlement of debtors and things like that. But again, that's subject to a lot of close working between officers in the council, police and fire, to ensure that's done with minimal of difficulty. And we're quite confident we'll be able to do that.
Thank you for the reassurance. Any other questions? With that then, are we happy to go with the recommendations for item 12, to note the current position, and also that further reports providing greater detail will be presented as the details are clarified? Thank you. Item 13 is police and fire reform, fire and rescue staff transfer. Alison Hastings.
Some of the key issues that are contained in this report is already presented. Progress update. This report gives you a bit more background issues. Basically, all staff directly employed by the fire and rescue service will transfer into Scottish Fire and Rescue in the current term. We've also considered other staff in other council services, fleet maintenance, finance, executive services as well, and from that group it's cleaners that have identified potential. From that group as well, we are looking at the contractual arrangements at the moment. There's some members of staff on contract need to get proper advice on how staff handled. That work is currently ongoing at the moment. We've also, as indicated earlier as well, that we have considered the option of early retirement in the voluntary redundancy scheme, and finance staff will not prior to the 31st of March. It's likely that will be offered in the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, but that's not on the table yet. That for staff forward. Also, there's a diligence checklist and guidance drafted by the Fire Reform. From that, it's actually a list got to comply with all the personal details of contractual office staff on that. Got the new Scottish Fire and Rescue Service and at the moment that diligence checklist then forum, and from that I'll go to the board and that, and most of the details will give us requirements. Also, there will be further letters that will go out to staff and well, what stage we are at the moment. And that's really where we're at just now. There's no major issues other than the contracts.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Forster.
It's more a question or comment. You say no voluntary redundant, this will happen until the new Scottish Fire Rescue Service is running. I'm amazed the Scottish Government agreed to that, because on the 1st of April, they will have a figure for all their staff, and then they're going to have a raft of voluntary redundancies, perhaps. And then the next year, they're going to get politically spanked because they reduced the number in the first year from X to Y. You thought it would have been in their interest to get all the voluntary redundancies out of the road before the transfer.
I do believe there has been other services that have offered this staff, or certainly interest of this, but for us, Galloway, we were not.
Any further questions? That then, are we happy to go with the recommendation for item 13? Consider the current status and also to determine that the arrangements are in fact appropriate. Thank you. Item 14, Police and Fire Reform, Police Staff Transfer. Right, Carol, to speak to this.
Thank you. The only things I will add, completed the now, no affected staff, other than those that are direct control. And one aspect, matching process and structural. So there is a level 30 snap. Level one and
Thank you. Are there any questions from members? In that case, are we happy to go with the recommendation? Consider the current status of the work programme to assure arrangements for the transfer of staff to the Police Authority of Scotland and to Scotland as appropriate to determine whether the arrangements address the risks identified are adequate. Thank you. Item 15, Police and Fire Reform, Transfer of Fire and Rescue Assets.
Again, look, the transfer of staff drawn out. I'll just go straight to the point here of that. We have a list of all the assets that are likely to transfer. What we have recognised is make sure there is an audit trail here, appropriate documentation for those assets, such as another equipment, such like have the procurement documents. They are ours and they are still there as well. So that's work that is that. There's no disputes over what. There's also work ongoing as well, examination of titles carried out, ensure that things in order. There has been some have with them, particularly in what's currently the property plan, like that, property services and ourselves working with that, ensure that these are brought up and prior to transfer. We've also got consideration of the polls. That's likely to be in a fixed position following delivery of further January. You know, there are works that are ongoing at the fire development centre that again works are expected well, and that balance. There's also the other fires that will be carried out. Police for Drumore recognise the provision in the legislation for that police transport fire rescue service there. So work on with mutual agreement. We have confirmation that we not help we've got at present work.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Simon?
I'm not usually worried, Chair, but this worries me. For the last 6 years where I've been a councillor, the biggest sort of problem I've had stems from the transfer of the council's housing stock and land. I'm still having difficulties with that to this day, because when they did it that time, there was no maintenance put in for grounds round about these buildings. We've got RSLs now saying after 2 or 3 years, oh, we'll not be gritting any of the paths. I think we need to be really sure in this that everything's in place from all sides, and I know you've started work. I mean, but I still have difficulty now stemming for that happened 7 years ago. We need to have some kind of guarantee of where we are with these places and the maintenance plans within them. But I still have fears that we're going to have the same situation. Are they going to get one large company to maintain everything that are based in Glasgow working down here? We already have difficulties getting local contractors maintaining council buildings and that in our deprived area for local people to work there. The whole maintenance thing just worries me, and I don't know if Carol can settle me or anybody else can settle me, but it's really desperate that these are all put in place, and we've got safeguards to know who owns what and who's responsible for each type of maintenance within these places. It really worries me, Chair. I've certainly done a wee bit. And just another thing, Chair, if you don't mind, in the same time, now again, as we're getting close to everything happening, there is a lot of people in the smaller communities frightened to close their local station. Is there any sort of mind we can give them that one as well?
I can only quote the Chief Fire Officer, there will be no reduction from that bill, fire appliances staff, as it says.
Well, thanks for that, Hamish. That's some good news.
Still on the 3.2. Wondering if there's any clarity. What authority? Thank you. That then on item 15, you have to go with the recommendation, 2.1 and 2.2. Take that. Item 16, police and fire reform, transfer of Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Stein?
Just to say the same concerns for this item as that for the policeman.
Carol, would you like to repeat your answer?
pleased to see these clauses being put in. The one in Lordburn Street, that was ever to become vacant and be left vacant, big hole in it. And it carries so much of our council act about with it. Glad those clauses are in.
The Forster.
One quick question for Carl. See, police office, Loch Ryan, Port Cairn, nil value. This before the
I don't.
The other question mentioned, Jack touched on post. If the new police authority decided, am I correct in your understanding, got to come to the council? If the council get it, follow. but like everything in life, the different.
No, but what we have.
Thanks, Chair. Just another couple of quick ones. I dare say it was stated there, but I don't know about the whole authority. We don't have any police stations now that are tied housing.
What we longer have.
So there's none.
Oh, there
Okay.
were. I think.
So I'm not coming to us. And just on the number 3 on the chart down below, the Thornhill situation, Carol, the council's continued use of part of this property will require a legal agreement with the new police authority. What would happen?
I was.
Okay, because again, that.
Well,
Councillor Forster, did you want to come in?
I'm having difficulty reading the small print again, but I may have found the answer. In the fire disposal of assets, vehicles list, in the police there are no cars. I'd like to get my hands by the last day. But are they leased and therefore not on the balance sheet?